Hey guys, it's Mac. I hope wherever you are today, you're living the dream just like I am. Today, I want to talk about the Nelnet hack or the Nelnet breach. I want to talk about what exactly happened, what information was exposed during this breach. I want to talk about how the attackers or the intruders might use this information, and then finish up about how we can protect ourselves from what the primary attack I think is going to come out of this breach. So let's talk about exactly what happened. So I'm going to use this article from Bleeping Computer to go over it. Here you can see we're talking about the exposure of data for over 2.5 million student loan accounts. It looks like in June is when the attackers actually gained access to the Nelnet site, and it doesn't have an identified date, so not a specific date, which isn't totally uncommon. Sometimes it can be very difficult to pinpoint that date on when an intruder gains access to your system. But you can see here, July 22nd is when they're stating they were able to kick out those intruders fully. So, what exactly was exposed in this breach? Nelnet's reporting that the full name, physical address, email address, phone number, and social security number was exposed in this breach. They do make sure to mention that no financial account numbers were exposed. This is great information to have. It just means that your banking account information, so like your account number and your routing number, weren't exposed in this breach. So while you don't have to worry about that, we do have to worry about this information. So, why would intruders or attackers want this information? A lot of people are going to look and see social security number. They're instantly going to think, oh, this is obviously going to be an attempt to do identity theft. That's a good thought. They could try to do that, but I don't think that's the primary attack they're going to try to do with this information. What I think is going to happen here is actually they're going to use this information, or they're going to sell this information on the dark web. The dark web is an area where criminals typically go to buy information like this to carry out attacks in the future. One of those attacks we're going to talk about here in a second, that I think is the primary attack that's going to be used with this information. So let's talk about that. What is the primary attack that I'm thinking that can be used with this information? So this is actually something we call phishing. Now, it's phishing with a PH, not phishing with an F. Now, I enjoy phishing with an F. And phishing with an F and phishing with a PH have some similarities in concepts and why they're kind of called similar items, right? When you cast your line out, when you're fishing with an F, right? You cast your line out and you are trying to get a fish onto your hook out of that body of water. So just any fish out of that body of water. Similar to a phishing attack with a pH, right? So phishing with a pH, they are sending out lots of emails, lots of text messages that are designed to look like an email you would be expecting, or an email from a bank or something like that. And just trying to see if they can get anybody out in what their body of water would be. So any of the emails they send or any of the text messages they send to bite. And when you do bite, you're either going to be clicking a link, and that link's going to take you to a fake website that they've created for you to either input your bank account number or a username and password that they can use to gain more information from you or gain into your accounts. Or you're going to be downloading something that's going to then infect your device for them to then gain more information to breach like your banking accounts or things like that. Because at the end of the day, attackers and intruders are trying to make money. That's their main goal 90% of the time. So, how can we protect ourselves from phishing? I put an example here, and we're going to go over this as a phishing email. Now, it looks very similar to something you might receive from a student loan servicer, but there are some red flags that we need to talk about on here. The first one's going to be this email address that it's from. Obviously, we're not going to get an email address of cyber.mgw@outlook.com that should be sending us this type of email. A lot of times, attackers will make this from email look really similar to the email address from who it should be sent from. So you want to make sure that one, the email address looks like someone you would expect that email to come from. Two, make sure that email address is spelled correctly, right? Make sure there's no flip flopped in the letters. Make sure that com is literally com, not cmo, or and things like that. The next thing we want to look at is spelling, right? We can see that financial isn't spelled correctly in multiple areas here. A lot of times in phishing emails, the spelling or the grammar will be off. So if the spelling isn't correct or the grammar seems really odd, that's a red flag as well. Now, one thing missing from this particular example that we see a lot in phishing emails is urgency. A lot of times in these phishing emails, it's going to say you have to act right now, or we immediately need you to provide us your bank account information to pay for this, or you have 24 hours to log into your account to provide this, and it'll provide links for you to provide that information. And a good way to make sure we're not getting caught on these phishing links is to not click on links in emails, right? Let's just go outside of the email, go using our Google or your Microsoft Edge or whatever it might be, and just logging into those accounts through the website instead of clicking the links that could be shortcuts for us. That's a really solid way to make sure you don't get caught on phishing links. So we went over a few ways to identify a phishing email. Hopefully this helps you guys. The information provided in this gives you some more clarity. Feel free to hit me up in the comments or send me a message if you have any questions about what we talked about today or about phishing emails or some more things to look out for. So thank you for listening, and I will talk to you guys next time.